Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica, another episode of the Unported playlist where we take a look at some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time, and today we're taking a look at Rail Chase 2, released by Sega in 1994 on the Model 2 hardware, and it is an absolutely outstanding amusement cabinet style light gun game. Before we get too far involved, do me a huge favor, go down below and hit like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined, we got a Patreon link down there as well if you want to support the channel. But I love Rail Chase 2, and I remember I played this when it was brand new at my local arcade in Vermont, the Dream Machine. And considering this release in 1994, and the PlayStation 1 would come out in Japan in December of 1994, Model 2 was amazing. I couldn't believe graphics like this could exist in the early 90s, and I was really hoping that whatever Sega's next console was going to be was basically going to be Model 2 for your home. And obviously we know with the Sega Saturn we didn't get that whatsoever, and a lot of the Model 2 ports were far inferior to the actual arcade hardware, but they were still fun in their own right. But Rail Chase 2 is just an absolute blast. From start to finish, it is action-packed. You're never going to get a break. You're never going to be resting. You're always just going to be moving forward and shooting the enemies in front of you. And obviously you can't tell now, the entire mechanic is you are in a minecart and the entire game is on rails. All light gun shooters are on rails, but this one literally takes that kind of genre and puts it as a tongue-in-cheek thing, because you actually literally are going down rails. What I love so much about Rail Chase, other than the actual gameplay mechanics, that they are a light gun game, and I love them so much, is that there are a ton of different branching paths in this game, both really obvious and secret. To actually see this entire game, you're going to have to play through it about 4 to 5 times, and I love branching pathways in arcade games because when I really enjoy a game, I want to see what more it has to offer me. Because this entire game from start to finish is one showpiece. It moves quickly, the camera's always panning around, and you'll see here, we're able to reroute the train track one direction or the other, and by doing that, we've chosen 1 or 2 tracks. You'll see one goes straight, and one veers off to the left. We take the map out, and we're going to the factory. Had we not gone left and gone straight, we would have seen an entirely different part of the game. And what I'm going to do is upload 2 different full gameplays of this game. That way you can see all the different alternative paths you can take to be able to enjoy the entire thing. Because for an arcade game, this actually has a lot of replayability if you want to see the entire thing. But, like I said, if you've been watching the channel at all, you know I love arcade light gun games, and this is one of my favorites. And I would never buy a cabinet for this because the cabinet is gigantic, and it has a full-size rail car that you can sit in. And Sega just loved railroads. Between Rail Chase, Rail Chase 2, Magical Truck Adventure, a lot of their arcade games involve railroads, so somebody at Sega must have loved model trains or something, because it's a thing you see happening in a lot of Sega games. But Sega was also one of the kings at making light gun games, and it definitely shows here. Although you will see the way the gun's working, it's actually an XY coordinate gun, not a light gun, but honestly the gameplay is identical, so I always call them light gun games. But if you've never played this one before, I am emulating this on the Model 2 emulator, and just like Super Model for Model 3, it's really easy to set up and it works almost flawlessly. There aren't really any graphical glitches in this game whatsoever, there's very little to no slowdown, and I think we're in a mattress factory now. I'm not sure what the slabs are supposed to be, but if you want to emulate any Model 2 game, just download Model 2 Emulator, that's what it's called, and it's going to work super easy for you. And now you'll see we're through the factory as well, and we only had one direction to go. So now we're back on the normal path, and again, we're going to have a way to transition. But as we're going over this waterfall area bouncing off the hands, you'll see some tracks underneath us, and we would have been going a completely different way to get to the same place had we gone straight versus taking a left at the first railroad junction. And that's what I love about this game, is that you can see things in the background that have tracks, and you'll see things going on over there, and you need to figure out how to actually make that happen within the game. And like I said, some of them are very easy. The game gives you the option if you want to go straight or if you want to turn. Sometimes it depends on your performance what route you're going to take, because there are secret ways to go within specific levels. But now here, coming up to one of our first mini boss encounters, is this giant, kind of looks like to me almost a crab. Obviously it's just a truck, but it's something that we're going to have to fight. We turn around, we have these guys throwing sticks of dynamite at us. There's a lot of things to manage in the game, and even when you're playing well, you really can't take a break from looking at the screen because there's constant projectiles coming at you. There's things going on all the time, and that's what I love in a good arcade light gun game, is that it's just constantly throwing more and more at you to make you actively manage what's what's going on, and it feels like 40 minutes worth of gameplay ends up feeling like 3 hours worth just because you were never able to take a breather. And again, you'll see here we're coming up to another junction point. If we don't shoot it, we go straight. If we shoot it, we're going to go left. And just make sure you don't accidentally shoot them, because it is kind of easy to do that, and then you'll end up seeing the same course that you just played. And I say that because in capturing all of this, I made that mistake twice and lost about 10 minutes worth of my life to redoing it all over again. So just be careful around those. But you'll see now we're going down to the snowfield. I love the soundtrack of this game as well, so watch this area without me talking. I'll be back about a minute and we'll talk more about Rail Chase 2. But enjoy. Hope you guys enjoyed that little bit of soundtrack, because it is quite good. And you'll see here again, like I mentioned, this game is just one giant showpiece. We're not even fighting anything right now. We're just bouncing across this chasm and right back down with our rail cart. And I will say that the two people in this cart are the luckiest people alive, because this rail cart magically bounces and never falls. Obviously that's hard-coded into the game, but it's kind of fun in its own right. And again, with a little bit of a mini boss battle, we have these biplanes coming towards us, and there are areas in the game where it slows down ever so slightly to give you a little bit more of a showpiece setting versus just shooting endless streams of enemies coming at you. And for something as simple as a light gun arcade game, which the mechanics are easy, shoot your opponents, it does change things up enough and alters the pacing so that you know things are going to be different. And you'll see here again when I talk about paths, we're on the left-hand side of the railroad track. You can get over to the right-hand side of the railroad track if you know how to do it. And I just love that. I want to keep playing this game because I think I've seen all the alternate paths, but there really isn't any FAQ online or any videos of the entire game being played that verifies it's everything you've seen. So it's very possible that even I've never seen the entirety of Rail Chase 2. The original game is awesome as well, and I'm sure I will cover that on the channel at some point in time. And in the credits it says Sega will be back for Rail Chase 3. We never got that, so obviously we're missing a game in the series. Who knows what happened to it? I'm really not quite sure. But if you enjoy light gun arcade games, if you love Sega games from the 90s, if you're a big fan of the Model 2 hardware and you haven't played Rail Chase 2 yet, I 100% suggest that you do check it out, because it is just from start to finish super fun. It actually reminds me of Jurassic Park on the System 32, another game where Sega was just pushing the action the entire way through. Because like I said, this game just doesn't give you any breaks. And you'll see there, we had another railroad crossing, and even though we can't get anywhere different in the end of this level, I chose the area to go and shoot bats. And these bats, I'm pretty sure, using the same sound effect as the bats from the House of the Dead. But again, we get up to the top here, and we're going to get stuck in this little barrel house, and then suddenly we're going to have another sequence that is just dedicated to one mechanic. And it's always fun. Something's always going on. We're having this giant stream of barrels coming at us, and you have to be near perfect in your bullets so that you don't take any damage. But when you do get hit once or twice, your life bar is pretty meaty, and there are enough life ups in the game where you're not going to have to spend that many credits to actually beat it. Obviously, if you're emulating it, you're spending none. But if you've never played Rail Chase 2, definitely go check it out. If you like light gun arcade games, I highly recommend it. I loved everything about Model 2, the way it looked, the way it sounded, the games that came out for it, and I really was hoping for the Saturn just to be Model 2 at home, and because that obviously never happened, I love playing all these games now just as much as I did in the 90s. But if you ever played it before, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I love chatting with you guys, and I will be back next Sunday with another Unported playlist video. I have so many of these in the works. I'm probably almost to 2022 already, and depending on when I publish this, it'll either be really far into the future or kind of far into the future. We'll see how that goes. But short of that, thanks so much for watching, guys. If you could do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. We will be back on Tuesday, Friday, and Wednesday as well with more videos in those series. But short of that, have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.